Hey guys, this is what I like to use to replicate my Zimmerit paste that I like to put on my models. It's known as AVES Apoxie Sculpt. It's a part A and a part B here. Basically how you use this is you mix equal amounts of it together. One is a self-hardening compound, the other one is an activator, and it's really easy to work with. Here's a tool that I like to use. It's a dental tool. It's quite malleable for the most part. If you keep the lid on it nice and tight, you can get just enough of what you need to work with. And like so, you can see there that's roughly about the same. When it comes to composition there, it's about a 50-50 mix. So what you want to do is when you're ready to mix this stuff up, you just want to put it together like so and just start kneading it back and forth. See how it kind of, right now it looks like it's kind of a mixture of you know, some kind of silly Play-Doh with some kind of white compound. And you take and you want to just mix it. Usually what I like to do is like to smash it flat, fold it over, twist it, smash it flat again, twist it, back and forth until you do not see any of this color in the compound anywhere. It'll take the color of being white. Now the good thing about this is you have a fair amount of time to work with this when you go to spread it on the hull of your vehicle. And even then, you can use a brush moistened with water and go over this compound, and that will keep the compound wet and malleable a little bit longer. And get the residue on your fingers, don't worry about it, it'll come off with water. It's real simple. And now where we are is we are ready to apply this to the hull, and it's that simple. This tool here is what I use to shape it with, and you'll see that in a few minutes. I'll explain that to you. But that's really the only two tools that I use at this point. As you can see, I'm working with some AVES 2-part epoxy putty that I like to use to simulate my Zimmerit. It's good, reliable stuff. It's easy to work with. It's a 2-part epoxy, and it's easily spreadable. As you can tell here, I'm using I'm actually just using a pair of tweezers. But what you may not understand and you may not see is that I'm using my saliva. I'm sticking this into this tool, into my mouth, and I'm using saliva from that as a natural lubricant, and it actually works really good. It may not be the most sanitary way of doing this, I realize it, but as you can tell, it actually allows you to spread this out really well. And this is just something that I've always done. I've used my saliva, and a lot of my modeling friends think I'm crazy, but as you can tell, it does a pretty good job. So what I'm doing right now is I am filling in and moving this stuff as I need to, pulling it off and just kind of working it, putting it back on, and smoothing it, moving it around, and getting to the point where it's fairly close to what I want. I may have some areas here that, as I work on it, I may do some chipping at it. And like I said, doesn't have to be exactly exact. I have a dental tool here that I like to use to scrape and to kind of nudge at. Try to remove it. Just kind of take and remove some to make it look like it's not a you know, pattern that is not natural. Like, I want it to make it look like it might have gotten chipped or beaten away or removed somehow, in such a way that it is more natural. Like this edge right here, kind of chip away a little bit and make it look like it kind of got flaked off in the use of it. Another little series right here. Just kind of scrape at it, chip at it. That's all you really need to do. It doesn't really need to be anything overly cantankerous in trying to work with it. You just want to make some irregular shapes. You just kind of chip at it. See, it's a little more, in the way it is right now, it's a little more, in the grand scheme of things, uneven. Like it's natural. As you can tell there. So, let's see here. A little more over here. I don't like how this looks in the upper, this upper little area right here. Chip away a little bit right there. And if I scratch the paint, hey, I'm not going to worry too much about it. I can always come back and I can always touch that up. It's the beauty of being in control and just trying to make it look natural. And in some cases, you go back and you put a little more there. I wanted to show you this technique at the rear of the vehicle, now that I've pretty much kind of done the front. There we go. Just kind of spread it out. That's all you do. Spreading it out. Okay. Now, as far as texturing is concerned, I'll cover that here in a few minutes. I wanted this epoxy to have a few minutes to set up and get a little hardened, a little bit more hardened than what it was. I'm at the point now where what I'm getting ready to do now is actually texture it and putting in the Zimmerit pattern, and I'm going to use my tool, and I'm going to try and do this without the automatic focus messing up here. But you basically, I'm at a point here and I'm trying to do this at an angle for the camera. So put your lines in about the width that they need to be when you do this. You want to keep your blade moistened that you're using and you're working with to do this. That's very important to remember that. Me, again, I like to use saliva. I think a lot of people probably find that to be rather distasteful. I, on the other hand, I actually like it. It's not hard. And it's pretty handy. Just keep putting the tool in your mouth. And you just keep wetting it. Keep wetting the tool. Alright, that just it gives us a grid pattern to work with. That's going to be close enough for what we need. Okay? That's kind of what I wanted at this point. Just looking for something that's close enough. That's all you want. Doesn't have to be exact. Doesn't have to be spot on. Okay? Now, with the vertical indentations in your pattern, here's where you want to come putting in the horizontal lines. And this, I'm going to use a flat screwdriver. Keep wetting. Don't press too hard. Try to stay uniform as you're putting it in. Okay? And what you'll do is you'll start seeing these lines will start forming. These lines of Zimmerit. And since the blade is not exactly the width that I want, I just grabbed this for demonstration purposes to show you kind of how I'm doing it on the vehicle. There may be some areas where I kind of have to go back and kind of clean up. But it gives you the idea though of what I'm doing. Okay? And as you can probably tell, the pattern is starting to form. Now I would imagine that this was applied in such a way it was probably pretty irregular, and they did so in a manner that would be consistent enough to where it wouldn't be uniform. Not in this area. This is an area that's at the rear of the hull, and would think that would be kind of what they're doing. They're putting it in an area that's not overly large as far as a space, but it is in an area that has a lot going on. You have exhaust, you have fenders, you have some jack stand jack stand items, You've got you know, your towing clevises. You got all kinds of stuff going on back here, and for them to get back here into work and to try to put this on in an exacting mount would have been difficult. That's why I'm not overly concerned with every line being exactly, you know, to where it looks like it's coming out of a factory template, because this would have been applied by hand and then baked on by the people in the factory. The beauty of this stuff is, if you need to change it, you can start over. You can scrape this stuff off and go back and start all over. Trying to get this stuff on the end here. Okay? And don't worry about, you may see some areas here where it kind of overhangs the edge. Don't worry about that. You can always come back and trim that off with a knife. Okay? Alright. Try and go above the fold here. Hopefully the camera will stay focused on what it needs to be focused on. I have a new camera that I recently bought. Still trying to learn how to use it. And yes, it is giving me fits every so often. But right now it appears to be doing what it's supposed to be doing as far as what it should be focusing on here in the foreground. And if you can see it underneath the bottom of the exhaust there. Let's see here. Put it over here. You have to be careful too when you handle this stuff. If you by any chance put your fingerprint there, it is going to leave a lasting fingerprint, and those are hard to get out. You may have to start over, smooth everything out, and then reshape it. I'm going to go back now. I'm going to put the vertical lines a little bit more telling with what I'm doing. I'm going to put them there. Like I said, you keep doing this, keep wetting what you're doing. Keep wetting your application tool. That's what you do. As long as you do that, it won't stick. If it feels sticky, then come back. Try to keep it in the same groove that you made before. You may mess up, but you can still kind of reapply it, okay? Go over here, work on this. And if you listen carefully, you might be able to hear the tool as I'm trying to pull it away wants to stick a little bit. But you keep wetting your tool. That's what you want to do. Keep wetting the tool. Trying to keep the focal point of my camera to where I won't lose focus. And if this gets out of focus, I apologize. It's kind of hard to do that with these big elephant hands that I have here compared to what the size of this model is. It makes it a little difficult to do that. There you go, elephant hands. And I've heard of modelers, you know, having you know, hands that are hard to work with, but in this case, elephant hands, right? Alright, there you go. And it's been textured, and I guess it's not too bad for government work, as they say, but this is what I came up with.